So everyone has got duty in Krishna consciousness, and this duty is taught by Krishna and the spiritual master. Guru Krishna kripa paye bhakti lata bhi. এই রূপে ব্রহ্মাণ্ড ভ্রমিতে কোন ভাগ্যবান জীব. That anyone who is coming to Krishna consciousness is not ordinary living being. Anyone who is connected with our movement is not ordinary living being. Actually, he is liberated soul. And I am very much hopeful that my disciples who are now participating in today, even if I die, my movements will not stop. I am very much hopeful. Yes. All these nice boys and girls who are taken so seriously, Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted that European and American people may understand the philosophy of Chaitanya cult and take part in it. That was his desire. My Guru Maharaj, His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, he also attempted to send his disciples to preach Chaitanya cult in the Western world. One of them, he advised me also. First meeting, perhaps you know, he asked me to preach. So, at that time, I was a young man, only 25 years old, and I was also householder. So I should have joined and executed his desire immediately. But due to my ill luck, I could not immediately execute his order. But it was in my heart that it is to be done. So better late than never, I executed his order at the age of 70 years. Not at the age of 25 years. So actually I wasted so much time. I can understand that. From 20, the message was there when I was 25 years old, but I began at the age of 70 years, but I did not forget the message. Otherwise how could I do? That is a fact. I was simply finding out the opportunity, how to do it. So anyway, although I began very late at the age of 70 years, so by the help of my disciples, this movement is gaining ground and is spreading all over the world. So therefore I have to thank you. It is all due to you. It is not my credit, but it is your credit that you are helping me in executing the order of my Guru Maharaj. So this movement, Krishna consciousness movement, that you already know that it is the most essential, most important movement to the human society. Last night, the ambassador of India, His Excellency Rashagotra, he was present here. He also appreciated that this movement is very important movement, and he was very pleased that I have done so much. So this movement will go on. Nobody can stop. So this Vyas Puja ceremony means to offer our thanks to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he is the original Guru. As we receive this message through parampara system, from Krishna to Brahma, Brahma to Narad, Narad to Vyasdev, Vyasdev to Madhacharya, in this way, Madhavendra Puri, then Ishwar Puri, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then 6 Goswamis, then others, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jagannath Das Babaji, Gaur Krishna Das Babaji Maharaj, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, then we have taken, so this, as we have come to this Krishna consciousness, understanding through this long parampara. Similarly, in the Vyas Puja ceremony, whatever respect, honor and presentation you give, that goes to Krishna through that parampara system, from down. As it is received through the parampara system. So, similarly, your offerings also goes through this parampara system to the Supreme. The connection. Our system is Gopi Bhaktu Padokamalayо Daso Dasanu Dasa. It is sometimes called bureaucracy. If you apply something, at least in India, to the president, you will have to submit to the local collector. The collector will submit to somebody else, the secretary will go, then to the president. So our system is that. So it is not that I am training my disciples to worship me, man worship, and getting some honor from them for nothing. No, it is not that. Whatever honor, whatever respect, whatever presentation you are giving to your spiritual master, it will go to Krishna by parampara system. This is Vyas Puja. Therefore it is called Vyas Puja. Vyas Puja means Vyasdev is the original Guru. After Brahma, Narad, then Vyas. And Vyas is original Guru because from his literature we understand spiritual knowledge. All these literatures, whatever we have produced, they are actually originally from Vyasdev. The 4 Vedas, Brahma Sutra, Upanishad, Puranas, they are called Vedic literature. And whatever is written with the conclusion of this Vedic literature, that is also Vedic literature. Just like our books, all our books, they are not mental speculation. Whatever I have learned from my Guru Maharaj, I am presenting. That's all. It is not mental speculation. This philosophy, that philosophy. We kick out all this. Unless we get the knowledge from the authorized source, we don't accept. Because how we can accept? A so-called philosopher, scientist, according to, why according? Everyone can understand that however great philosopher, scientist one may be, he is imperfect. He is imperfect. Every man, I have several times recited this example that in our country Gandhi was very big politician, you know Mahatma Gandhi. He committed so many mistakes. At last he committed such a great mistake that he was killed. That's a long history. So even a great person like Mahatma Gandhi, he commits mistake. Therefore, the Shastra says any conditioned soul, he must commit mistake. However great he may be, in the estimation of fools and rascals. Savai Birbara straw. He must commit mistake, he must be illusion, his propensity is to cheat, and at the end all the senses are imperfect. We have several times described. So much imperfectness, how we can give perfect knowledge? Therefore, the so-called philosopher, scientist knowledge is always imperfect. The perfect knowledge can be received through these parampara systems. From Krishna, Krishna to Brahma, Brahma to Narad, Narad to Vyas, Vyas to Madhacharya, in this way, from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 6 Goswamis, then our Guru Maharaj, in this way. And our business is just to present whatever we have heard. This is very important point. And because we do not speculate mentally, just like so many Swamis come from India, they make their own presentation by speculation. So whatever little success I have got, it is due to this process that I do not present anything which is created by me. That is the secret of success. All these rascals, I say, declaring this, all these rascals come, they manufacture. A spiritual thing cannot be manufactured. As God cannot be manufactured. God is always God, and the words of God is also God. If we present as it is, then it will be effective. That is said in the Shastra. Satam prasangat mama bija samvida bhavanti ritkanda rasayana katha tajjosanat asu apavarka vatmani sadhya bhakti rati ranukramishati. Everything is there. Sadam prasangat, from a bona fide spiritual master, you receive knowledge because he will present as he has received from his spiritual master. He will not adulterate or manufacture something. That is the bona fide spiritual master. And that is very easy. To become spiritual master is not very difficult thing. You will have to become spiritual master. You, all my disciples, everyone should become spiritual master. It is not difficult. It is difficult when you manufacture something. But if you simply present whatever you have heard from your spiritual master, it is very easy. If you want to become over-intelligent, to present something, to interpret something, whatever you have heard from a spiritual master, you can make some further addition, alteration, then it will spoil whole thing. Then it will spoil something. Don't make addition or alteration. Simply present as it is. Therefore we have begun in Bhagavad Gita as it is. Don't try to become over spiritual master. Then you will spoil. Remain always a servant of your spiritual master and present the thing as you have heard. You will be spiritual master. This is the secret. You should know it. Don't try to become over intelligent. That will spoil. Evam parampara prapam imam rajasya vidu. This is the... So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, আমার আজ্ঞায় গুরু হইয়া তারও এই দেশ যারে দেখো তারে কহ কৃষ্ণ বলে. That's it. It is very nice. You'll find in Chaitanya Charitamrita, now it is published. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, he is the Supreme Lord, Krishna. He says, আমার আজ্ঞায়, whatever I say, আমার আজ্ঞায়, by my order, you become a spiritual person. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, one may be very illiterate, no education, no scholarship, may not be born in Brahman family, or may not be a sannyasi. There are so many qualifications, but one may not have all these qualifications. He may be rascal number one, but still he can become spiritual master. How? Amara. As Krishna says, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, if you follow, then you become spiritual. One may be rascal number one from material estimation, but if he simply strictly follows whatever is said by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or his representative spiritual master, then he becomes a guru. So it is not very difficult. One may not think that I am not qualified to become guru. No, you are qualified. If you follow strictly the parampara system, then you are qualified. That's all. Amara Gai Guru, and what is the difficulty? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, don't feel any difficulty, because as spiritual master, what you have to do? Jare dakho tare kaho Krishna upadesh. Whomever you meet, you simply speak to him the instruction which Krishna gives. What Krishna can instruction gives, that is also very easy. What is that? Krishna says, Manmana bhava mad bhakta mad jaji mang namaskuru. Krishna says, just become my devotee, always think of me, offer me obeisances, and worship me. So here is Krishna. If you simply think here is Krishna Radha, Krishna deity, you may be full number, rascal number one. That doesn't matter. But you are getting impression of this Radha Krishna. Think of it. Oh, how nicely Krishna is decorated. This much. No erudite scholarship. Simply Krishna says, Manmana bhava mad bhakta. Here is deity, worship him nicely as it is. A regulated principle. Even if you are not worshipping, simply think of Krishna, here is Radha Krishna. Impression. So what is the difficult? As soon as you see Radha Krishna, you get some impression. Think of that impression. What is the difficult? Manmana bhava mad bhakta. Worship me. If you have got opportunity, worship. If you are initiated, you worship here, or you install deity at home, as our Kyodab Sahib Prabhu is doing. Everyone can do it. What is the difficult? Now ask him how he is happy. The whole family is happy. Not only he, but his wife, his children, everyone is happy. Practical. Manmana bhava mad bhakta, mad jaji, mad namaskuru. And if you cannot do anything, simply come and offer your obeisances. My dear Lord Krishna, I am so poor, so unfortunate, I cannot do all these things. But I offer my humble obeisances unto your Lord. That much also. If you do this, you become spiritual master. So, simply by accepting this principle, and even if you are not learned, illiterate, you are hearing so much from Bhagavad Gita, you simply repeat that. Simply repeat that. There is no question of becoming very learned scholar. God has given you this ear. Even if you are blind, you cannot read, you can hear. So Krishna Upadesh, what is Krishna? This is Krishna Upadesh. And at last Krishna says, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam saranam. So if you simply preach this cult, my dear friend, my dear brother, you surrender to Krishna, you become spiritual. You become spiritual master. You go door to door. No other talks. Simply say, my dear friend, you are very nice, you are very learned. That was adopted by Prabhupada Disappearance. Dante nidhaya tinakam padayo nipatya kakusatam kritvacha aham abrvimi. He sadhava sagalameva vihaya dura chaitanya chandra charane kurutanuraga. The meaning is the preaching. Very easy. Dante nidhayatinakam. According to Indian system, if you put a grass on your mouth, it is a sign of that you have become very humble. If you approach a person with a grass in your mouth, you will immediately know that you are coming there with very, very great humbleness. Therefore, Dante Nidhaya, this was the system. Dante Nidhaya Tunakam, and touching his feet. Immediately touch his feet. Immediately, even if he is enemy, he will be your friend. Even if he is your enemy. It is so nice process. Take a glass on your mouth and immediately fall on his feet, Padaya Nipatta, and with folded hands, much flattering. Danti nidhayatinakam padayo nipatta kakusatam krityacha. All flattering words. Aham bravi. So immediately we agree, yes, what you say I will hear. I will hear. Immediately convert to hear you at least. This just see how perfect process is. Then what is your purpose, sir? Why you are becoming so humble, me? And now say, yes, sir, I will say. What is that? Hey sadhava, you are a great sadhava. Although he is maybe rascal number one, still you call him. Hey sadhava. Yes, I am sadhu. Yes. What is your proposal? Now kindly forget all nonsense whatever you learned. That's all. I am flattering you because I want that you forget everything, all these yogis and these and that and meditation. Please kick out all this. Then what I have to do? Chaitanya Chandra Charane Kurutanuragam. Just adhere yourself to the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then you become Shiva. That's all. So if you want to become recognized by Krishna very quickly, you take on this process of becoming spiritual master, present the Bhagavad Gita as it is, your life is perfect. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada's dear Baba Mahautsava ki jai. Before we begin, I'd like to welcome everyone coming to Vrindavan this year for the Kartik Festival. Those of us who live here, we knew that it was going to be a very large attendance this year, but I think even our understanding has been overwhelmed. And being with Srila Prabhupada, I saw and heard, as many others have, that when the devotees came for a festival, Prabhupada's first concern was to see that everyone was taken care of nicely, that they were given very nice prasadam and somewhere to stay. So the management here, everyone, they want you to know they're doing their very best. I think everyone is getting nice prasadam every day. I know it's a very large crowd. But we're all very happy to see so many devotees here. And for this part of the program, we have approximately 4 hours in which there are around, on a list now, about 90 God brothers and God sisters who are looking for the opportunity to speak. So if 4 hours, I think, comes to around 240 minutes. So everyone, we're going to ask everyone, please try to stay within the framework of a few minutes to glorify Srila Prabhupada this morning, as there's many, many that want to do it. And listening to the lecture I did here early in the lecture, Srila Prabhupada said, his disciples, he said, they're all liberated souls. So all of you here today, you're all, in Prabhupada's eyes, you're all his liberated souls that have done everything for him to help spread this movement. So we're very happy to have you all here, and we'll try our best to give you the opportunity to glorify Srila Prabhupada. In one lecture on his spiritual master's disappearance day, Srila Prabhupada said, appearance and disappearance. He said on the absolute platform, there's no difference. He said they're both beautiful, just like the sunrise and the sunset are both very beautiful. I haven't understood that until this time. I find this day a very wonderful day, but also a very difficult day. Remember Srila Prabhupada leaving our presence. And of course, it's right here in Vrindavan that it happened. Srila Prabhupada, he permeates every inch of this landscape at Krishna Balaram Mandir, in his home, in the samadhi, in the temple. You see the most beautiful deities in the world here in this temple. Srila Prabhupada, their very stance, he picked every position of each of the deities. So Prabhupada is here everywhere. So for you to be here, we're all the most fortunate. So I'll be introducing, for the most part, my God brothers and God sisters and some others. And I'm going to keep the introductions brief, because the more I'm speaking, the less opportunity others will have to speak. And this morning, of course, the humility of so many of my God brothers, no one wanted to be first. And there are many people involved in management here in Vrindavan Temple as well. We have the Vrindavan Executive Board, and we have the co-presidents, and we have GBC members and others. So we thought it was appropriate to first, we do have a GBC member here in Guru Prasad Swami. He's our GBC, one of our GBC members here in Vrindavan, and we've asked him, we've coerced him into being the first speaker this morning. So please give a very nice welcome to Guru Prasad Maharaj. Haribo. And also trying to inform the next speaker and those coming up next, so you can offer your obeisances and your prayers beforehand. So you do get the opportunity to speak. We'll use that in glorifying Srila Prabhupada. And in this way we can, hopefully, we will move along nicely. Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Mai Shri Gurave Namaha. So I was planning to write a little poem, which I usually try to do. I thought I would be one of the last speakers, but they decided that the order of speaking would be according to Varnashram. So anyway, I'm the first one. I ask all my senior God brothers and God sisters to forgive my impertinence, but it was, I have to obey the will of the Vaishnavas. So I didn't have that many opportunities to personally speak with Srila Prabhupada. The one thing he did tell me is that I should do Sankirtan. So whether I can do it personally or try to inspire others to do it, that is certainly the goal of my life. the book distribution, preaching, all the different manifestations of Sankirtan were so dear and are so dear to Srila Prabhupada. Celebrating his disappearance, which is always painful every year, in one sense, painful that we miss his presence, was Krishna's call for all of us to take up responsibility. Just as Srila Prabhupada took up the responsibility of taking sannyas on the plea of his godbrother, through whom Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur spoke to him and told him, now you become the Acharya. As Srila Prabhupada just said in what we heard, I wasted so much time. Of course, he didn't waste any time. But a devotee naturally feels that way, and Srila Prabhupada demonstrated that degree of humility. So because Shrutikirti Prabhu spoke about the institution, one of my fondest memories and greatest inspirations from Srila Prabhupada is the fact that his most cherished activity of translating the Srimad Bhagavatam, not cherished because of personal desire, but cherished because of immense and unlimited mercy and compassion. He sacrificed finishing that. He not only did he plan to finish the Bhagavatam, he planned to translate so many other things. That we heard from him in 1976. But he did sacrifice it to keep this movement together. So sometimes devotees will say, oh, it's just an institution. But it's not an institution. This institution is the manifestation of Srila Prabhupada's will to give Krishna consciousness to the world. If you don't have an institution, you may be able to convince a few people. But with this transcendental institution, we can convince the whole world about Krishna consciousness. So, we have these upadhis, like I have quite a few of them, that have been given to me in this movement. GBC, Sannyasi, Guru, Brahman, and the Shastra says, Sarvupadi Vinirmuktam. We want to give up upadhis, but upadhis can also be purified if we use them exclusively for glorifying Krishna. So on this particular sacred day of Srila Prabhupada's disappearance, I beg Srila Prabhupada that he allow me to never think that these things belong to me, but they are instruments to be used in his service. So as there are only 236 more minutes left, and so many advanced Vaishnavas to speak, I will end here and thank all of you for coming and for belonging to this transcendental movement. And I personally beg Srila Prabhupada to inspire myself and all of you to continue in spite of any obstacle, difficulty that may arise, that will arise. Certainly they will arise. And continue on and revive, especially in many different countries. India may be a bit different. Revive the missionary spirit and carry on that missionary spirit which was so strongly and perfectly manifest in the person of Srila Prabhupada. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Maharaj. For our next speaker, many of you will know, GBC member, and he was also in the Vrindavan Executive Board for decades. Sesha Prabhu will now speak. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dear devotees, I thank the organizers of this wonderful Disappearance Day celebration of Srila Prabhupada. I thank them for giving me the opportunity to say a few words in glorification of my divine spiritual master. As all of us go about the day-to-day service to ISKCON that Srila Prabhupada has made available to us, we often have defining moments which will guide us, dictate to us how and why to act in various situations throughout the course of our service. I had such an experience here in India in 1976. The Mayapur Vrindavan festival, the Mayapur portion was just finished, and on the way to Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada did 2 programs at cities nearby here. One, Modi Nagar, and the other, Aligarh. Now, in one of those cities, there's a big Lakshminarayan temple, Birla temple. And so all the devotees were invited in, and Srila Prabhupada in the darshan area, he gave a talk, and then he got up to leave the temple. As he was leaving the temple, he passed through 2 other darshan areas, one of Lord Shiva, and I'm not sure the other deity. I was, of course, with the mass of devotees following Srila Prabhupada, and I desired to get close to Srila Prabhupada as he passed through these other darshan areas so that I could see how specifically he offered his respects, his obeisances to those deities. Now I emphasize specifically because obviously a great Paramahamsa like Srila Prabhupada would offer his respects to the deities in the temple, and we might take that in a generic way. But I wanted to know specifically how Srila Prabhupada reciprocated with those deities. And this is the point, how he specifically acted, how he specifically desired in service to Krishna. I wanted to know specifically, because that's how we can all be guided, and we should be guided in our service to Srila Prabhupada and ISKCON. How to specifically follow exactly what he wanted. Srila Prabhupada himself showed this example with the devotees in the early days in New York City when he had some medical problems. The devotees were with him in the hospital and they didn't know what would be the result of that problem. And so they asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, is there someone else? And Prabhupada was silent. Then he said that my spiritual master was no ordinary spiritual master. Meaning, to my understanding, that he specifically, his spiritual master, he saw his spiritual master as specifically instructing him and reciprocating with him and loving him in particular ways. My spiritual master was no ordinary spiritual master. So in our service to Srila Prabhupada, as we go forward, 45 years from the time of his disappearance, how he specifically did things, how he specifically wanted things, should be on our minds and our consciousness
in all services that we undertake. In this way, we can glorify Srila Prabhupada without doubt and very enthusiastically based on his specific desires. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Thank you very much, Sesha Prabhu. Next, we'll hear from Yadubara Prabhu. He was in Balaram Hall yesterday evening. We know him and his wife. It's by their work that we have so many, over 20,000 photographs of Srila Prabhupada and so many videos. So please welcome Yadubara Prabhu.
I'm on. Thank you. No, they just. Do you have her on the list? Oh, good.
Everyone that takes more than 3 minutes will take somebody's spot towards the end. So we only have 200.
So 3 minutes.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda
It's better that way.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances, all glorious to your divine grace, who had so kindly given us from 1970 to 1977 your personal association, and now association through your potencies, your books, recordings, guidance, example, and so vital to every devotee, the association and opportunity to serve your sincere followers, who are tasting the fruit of your priceless gifts. Where would we be without the combined mercy of your divine grace and our Lord's? Lord Krishna has so many times in Bhagavad Gita states, by my grace, by my mercy, you will come to me. Otherwise, through our own endeavor, however impressive it may be, we have no hope of being extricated from the dark labyrinthine maze of material life. Generally, even we as aspiring devotees put too much faith in material life, trying our best as we can to reduce the miseries. But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, verses 4 and 5, that he creates all good qualities as well as undesirable ones, distress, fear, infamy, and old age. Actually, I added old age. And finally, death. We could see in your presence, Srila Prabhupada, when there is cause for distress, that you would meet it with an even mind, tolerate and sometimes fight, but with detachment, knowing that Krishna is controlling the movement of even a blade of grass. We see causes for distress everywhere, especially today. We pray that all who experience adversity understand that it is yet another feature of Krishna's mercy, meant for causing us to approach him with upraised arms in submission and prayer. Dear Srila Prabhupada, we were misguided by our minds, devoid of pure intelligence, and bathed in the acidic waters of pride. But we have hope against hope that we will be able to please you, if not directly, then please your servant, or his servant, or her servant, however many times removed. Your aspiring servant, Yadubara Das. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So thank you very much, Yadabara Prabhu. Now we're going to hear from one of our residents here, Krishna Balaram Mandir, who has maintained Srila Prabhupada's quarters here to the topmost level, as Prabhupada would say, summit cleanliness. All of you, if you haven't, you should go visit Srila Prabhupada's quarters here. Thank you, Daiva Shakti.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada's ocean of mercy, of devotion. We were children on the shore, dipping our toes in the froth, laughing with pleasure as the waves beckoned us forth. Little did we know the secrets of that deep ocean, as we were young and ignorant of the powers of devotion. As Matsya was no ordinary fish, though appearing to be so, Srila Prabhupada dwelt within that ocean, his influence did grow. Love Krishna, dive deep, I will guide you, do not wait. Taste the nectar of devotion, prasadam was the bait. We ventured into his ocean, dancing in the waves, unaware of the aquatics, both danger and shelter they gave. We took pleasure on the surface, wary to go too deep, enjoying our freedom, naive of the hidden world beneath. But Prabhupada drew us further into the depths, till the shore was far. Holding our breath, we took the plunge, with him as our guiding star. Divulging ancient mysteries and exotic creatures within, he revealed the confidential world of Krishna's pure devotion. Still young, just learning to swim, we followed him in formation, not sure yet where he was taking us, where was our destination. He brought us to this sacred place deep within the ocean, the source of taste and mellows, the abode of love and devotion. Here we saw Srila Prabhupada in his brilliance and grace, no ordinary being, but still hiding his full mace. Who was this mighty soul, wrapped in divine mystery? What if he leaves us here alone, inept? Where are we? But no, he stayed and reigned supreme above all others here. Wherever we turn, we see his presence both far and near. This ocean of devotion in which we all now live stretches beyond eye's sight, eternal world did he give. Now is the season when hordes of thirsty fishes come, searching for nectar. Oh, what miracles Prabhupada has done. On every side they dart and dash to find a place to stay, at Prabhupada's feet to drink that rasa, especially on this day. Here we are within the sea of devotees far and wide. He caught us in his net of love. There's nowhere we can hide. He's lifted us up within that net, so tightly bound together. Now let us thank Srila Prabhupada and stay with him here forever. Sri Vrindavan Dham is not a limited place in the country of India. Prabhupada took Vrindavan with him on the Jaladuta of Sindhya. He transported this abode of love into our hearts as well. So let us share Prabhupada's message to all that we can tell. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
You can use this. Haribol. Haribol, take this.
Hare Krishna. And I'm sure all of you know this is the 50th anniversary of Kartik festivals that Prabhupada inaugurated. First one in 1972, Radha Damodar Temple. At that time, there were approximately 30 disciples attending the festival. It was a very big festival.
Hari.
And this morning at Mangal Artik, there were thousands of you this morning attending Mangal Artik, and a few of the devotees asked me, because if you listen, you'll hear Srila Prabhupada, of course, you can hear him playing the harmonium. But then it also sounds like he's playing the mridanga. Because no one played the mridanga or the harmonium like Srila Prabhupada. And it is Srila Prabhupada playing the mridanga. It wasn't four arms formed. He had, in Los Angeles, in New Dwarka, he would play harmonium and chant, and then he would put the headphones on. And he would listen to himself, and he would put another track down playing the mridanga, because he wanted that everything was perfect. So, next we're hearing from His Grace Bhavananda Prabhu. I also first met Bhavananda 50 years ago, I believe in Mayapur at that time. And he's still in Mayapur, a very big part of everything that's happening there. So please welcome Bhavananda Prabhu.
Can I use this? This mic? Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhaktivedanta purports ki jai. Srila Prabhupada's desire to build the Temple of Vedic Planetarium ki jai. Everyone can get a gold medal. TOVP. There's no difference between Prabhupada and his purports, or Prabhupada and his desire to help fulfill Prabhupada's desire. That's what all of us are meant to do. So Hare Krishna. I have two very short stories that I experienced with Prabhupada. One was in Los Angeles in 1975, which shows the great sacrifice that Prabhupada made. And the second story shows the very simple love and compassion that Prabhupada had for all his disciples and what we have to do. He told me what we have to do. So you'll understand when I tell you the story. In 1975, I went to Los Angeles. I was going to, I don't know, at those times. Huh? Speak closer to the mic.
Oh, God. You have to swallow the mic, do you? All right. 1975, we used to get vans and a few brahmacharis and a sannyasi and travel around on the pick, money. So I went there to collect money for Mayapur. And Prabhupada, I arrived in LA Temple, Watsika Avenue, and Prabhupada arrived the same day, that afternoon. So I was in the apartment opposite the temple, and I was trying to think of ways I could get up to see Prabhupada in his quarters. And I was standing in the window and looking at the temple, and suddenly Upendra came, and he saw me, and he went. So I ran downstairs, and Upendra said, Prabhupada wants to see you. So I was happy, ran up the stairs, went into Prabhupada's darshan room, in his quarters that Jayananda Karanda and I built for him in 1970. Very nice, and Prabhupada was sitting there. Perhaps you've heard this story before, but it's certainly worth telling. Prabhupada was sitting at his desk, and he had a big bolster pillow, and on the end of the bolster, round pillow, there was a big tossle. And Prabhupada wanted a report about Mayapur. How is Jayapatak Maharaj? And what is that? He wanted to know everything that was going on. You have to give a report to Prabhupada. Not that you just sit around and
he wanted a report. So he wanted to report what is going on in Mayapur. And then he started to, and he was, the tassel, he kept spinning it around on his finger, playing with the tassel, his head back, and he would say, yes, Mayapur and Bengal and the early days of when he was wandering from place to place as a sannyasi from, Gaudiya Math temple to Gaudiya Math temple. And then he was looking and he said, I often wonder, what is the difference between me and the Goswamis? He said, they had their books. I have my books. They had their light. He was looking at the little chandelier in his room. He said, they had, the 6 Goswamis I'm talking about, not the Goswamis of these temples, but the real Goswamis, the original. He said, they had their light, I have my light, and he pointed at the chandelier, and went back to the tassel, and he said, every night they slept under a different tree. And he said, if I want, every night I can sleep in a different palace. He said, you know, and he looked at me, I did not want to come here. I said, what? I did not want to come here. It is a horrible place. But Krishna said, you come down and write those books. And I said, no. Prabhupada telling Krishna, no, I don't want to go there. It is a horrible place. And then he said, and Krishna said to me, don't mind, I will take care of everything. You come down and write those books. An actual transcendental Prabhupada revealing to all of us a transcendental relationship and where he was, and he didn't want to come here. It is a horrible place. Let us not forget that as we go out all over the world looking at the Eiffel Tower, looking here, looking there. No, it's a horrible place. But Prabhupada sacrificed and came down and wrote those books, which are our salvation and lifeline back to home, back to Godhead. So that's the great sacrifice story. The second story, which was just a very simple sentence, in 1977, it must have been a few, maybe 3-4 days before Prabhupada actually left his body. And we had a schedule, Tamal and I, or Tamal had a schedule, and who will be in Prabhupada's room. So Tamal, I said, Tamal always put me on the late night shift. I said, why do I always have to be there from 11 o'clock at night till 2 o'clock in the morning? You know, really difficult time to stay awake, but you know, no, I'm the secretary. He said, I have to be here during the day. I have to, be greeting people and making arrangements with Prabhupada. So I said, all right. So I was all alone in Prabhupada's room. And it was very dim. The light was very dim. That lamp, that little lamp, we used to put a red cloth over it, so it was very dim. Prabhupada, bright lights and that disturbed his vision, because his vision wasn't so good at that time. And I was sitting at the foot of Prabhupada's bed. And Prabhupada was, I assumed, sleeping or resting. And I was just sitting in this chair and chanting quietly. And suddenly, I hear this voice, "Who is that?" Prabhupada, "Who is that?" This voice. And it was Prabhupada, but he couldn't quite see me because it was dark. "Who is that?" And I said, it's Bhavananda, Srila Prabhupada. He said, "Listen, this is meant for all of us." Oh. Like that. Oh. Bhavananda. Don't ever leave me. Stay with me forever. And there it is. That's all we have to do. Stay with Prabhupada forever. And you and I and everyone should understand there is no better place to be. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you very much, Bhavananda Prabhu. That was very wonderful and very true. No better place to be than with Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. Next, Pancharatna Prabhu, you're prepared? He's Mayapur Basi, but sometimes he comes to Vrindavan.
Hare Krishna. First, Om Ajnana Timrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshumilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. If I have any ability to be connected to Mayapur, I have to thank Bhavananda, who saw me in New York, and then I ended up in Mayapur thinking I'll be going back to New York, and he asked me to stay. And but then Madhavisa Prabhu, Maharaj at the time, who came in as the new GBC for New York, wanted to ask Srila Prabhupada. So this is my little story that is not recorded anywhere, but I'm confident that I actually heard these words. When we went in, then Madhavisa said to Srila Prabhupada, "We know that Mayapur is your most important project." And Srila Prabhupada stopped and said, "No, New York is my most important project." So I don't want to say that Mayapur is not the most important project, because I know it is. But for some of us, and at the time Madhavisa, and now for me also to some extent, New York has again become very important. I believe there's a relationship between the two. Srila Prabhupada considered New York to be the most important city in the world. And I believe that as we can develop there, we can also see that the rest of the world will develop. I think there's a connection. And so I thank Srila Prabhupada for again engaging me and my wife in service in Sri Sri Radha Govinda Mandir, as well as in Sri Mayapur. That's all I really can do here now, is to thank Srila Prabhupada. As Bhavananda just said, we must hear those same words that he heard. I believe that the message that he heard that night was meant not just for him, but for all of us. To stay with Srila Prabhupada. And how do we stay with Srila Prabhupada? We stay with Srila Prabhupada by at least for me, the only way I know how to stay with Srila Prabhupada is to engage in his service. I didn't have the association. I didn't have, when I came to Mayapur and Bhavananda and Gargamuni and Jayapataka asked me to be there, I was thinking, oh, now I'm going to get a lot of association with Srila Prabhupada. And instead, I got a lot of service that took me everywhere but Srila Prabhupada's presence, except when I was able to come in. This was a great time for me. I was able to walk into his room. Those of you who know Mayapur of those days know that there was a lot of load shedding or blackouts. And to turn the power back on, we had this little generator downstairs, and you'd have to crank it up, and you'd have to, it made a lot of noise and a lot of fumes, and of course there was, it only powered a few lights. So one of my services was to install a generator, a big generator, power everything. And that was a great moment for me when I could walk into Srila Prabhupada's room, the lights had gone off, and I came in and said, now, that is your generator. And he couldn't hear anything, it was silent. So service is how I was able to associate. And service is how I can continue to associate. Service and of course hearing Srila Prabhupada's words in his books, in his lectures, and associating with all of his followers. This morning, as I looked out to the sea of devotees chanting japa, I thought there's no other place in Vrindavan like this. I mean, you go to any of the, I was wondering, if you go to any of the other temples in Vrindavan, would you see this at all? And I think, probably not. I mean, you see throngs of pilgrims, but do you see service like this, sitting down, chanting japa, chanting the holy names of Krishna? And everywhere service. We just came through, on our way from New York back here through Istanbul, Turkey. And there we saw the devotees so happily engaged in service. So all of you are engaged in service. You're hearing from Srila Prabhupada, and thus we can live with him forever. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Pancharatna Prabhu. Very true. That cow you might hear every now and then is someone speaking a long time. When I was with Srila Prabhupada for a long time, I also struggled. And at one point, he asked me, do you like your service? And I said, yes, Prabhupada, very much. He said, service is love. He says, just do your service. Everything will be all right. He said, devotees, they may jump up and down, dancing, so many things. He said, service is love. So what Pancharatna said, really, I felt very strongly. So next we're going to hear from Narayani Mataji, a resident here in Vrindavan and also traveling all around the world, speaking from Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.
Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharnini Nirvishesha Shinivadi Pashita Deshatarne. So 1970 in Boston, I was visiting the temple but hesitating to join. And so then devotees said, come and stay the weekend, Prabhupada's coming. So I stayed the weekend, and Prabhupada didn't come, but he sent 4 sannyasis. One of them was Vishnujan Maharaj. We were out on Harinam the whole weekend, and I said, I'm so happy, why should I go back home? So I went home and said goodbye to my husband and joined the temple. And he joined 2 months later also. What I understood from that is when you're hesitating to take the next step, then Prabhupada will push you to take the next step. So not only myself, but 4 other devotees didn't go back home that weekend. Just because Prabhupada called and said he's coming, he didn't even come. He just had to say he's coming. And so it's a miracle. I've lasted 50 years here as Pujari in Calcutta, as book distributor, and Maharashtra, Gujarat. Rajasthan is teacher in VIHE. So if we have desire to do service for Krishna, nothing can stop us. Bhagavatam says, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayat Yasha Vairagyam Gyanam Chayadahetukam. By rendering devotional service to Krishna, one immediately gets knowledge, causeless, and detachment from this world. So it is a haituki, it is causeless. Just by doing service, we advance and we can fulfill the desires of Srila Prabhupada. When Prabhupada was here in the 70s, we didn't have opulence, at least when I was in India. There was no opulence, a lot of austerity, only high spirits, and a lot of hope. We did have faith in Srila Prabhupada that we didn't have much money, but we thought all you need is to desire and depend on Krishna, and anything is possible. So now we have more opulence, and Prabhupada is in the spiritual world, but still we have his Vani, which we are hearing today. So Prabhupada is making miracles in our lives. Always remember, Prabhupada said, impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. 1973, I was at Pujari in Calcutta Temple. Pradumna spotted me and he said, oh, we're going to Mayapur. Prabhupada wants to translate Chaitanya Charitamrita and he needs a typist. So you have to learn Bengali and we're leaving tomorrow. I said, no problem. I'm going to go with Prabhupada. So I got a Bengali book. I learned to read. I was off with Prabhupada the next day and I was typing for Prabhupada. I had the earphones on in Mayapur sitting on the floor. There was no furniture. We were in the Lotus building under construction, and I had a trunk, and I had to open the big Chaitanya Charitamrita in Bengali, listening to Prabhupada speak on the tape, and then I would read the Bengali and type it into English letters. So Prabhupada came to my room and he said, oh, you know Bengali? I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. So then he said, okay, come to my room. So he said, okay, you know Bengali? I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. Good he didn't speak to me in Bengali because I only knew how to read. But he said, so you learn to type on a Bengali typewriter? We will do many books together. So never give up on your spiritual desires. Just depend on Srila Prabhupada and they will come true to fulfill Srila Prabhupada's desire. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Narayani Mataji. Now we're going to hear from Sankarshan Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My experience with Srila Prabhupada was his kindness. Amazing, amazing kindness. I remember one of the first experiences I had directly with him, the very first experience, was in '71. I was there in Los Angeles just after the Ratha Yatra festival. And it was a wonderful program we had. Prabhupada would go on the morning walk. After he'd come back from the walk, we'd all line up along the sidewalk between where he'd get out of the car and go to his room. And we had a flower exchange ceremony. I mean, some of you remember that. Prabhupada had a basket of flowers, and each one of us had a flower, and we'd give Prabhupada a flower, and he'd give us a flower. So you go down the line with every devotee had their own personal moment with Prabhupada. So I got near the front of the line, and Vishnujan Swami was the first. He got a hug, wow. I was one of his men. I felt like I was getting a hug too, because he got the hug. And then he came about the third person in line, that was me. I gave him my flower, and he gave me a flower. Oh, I have a flower in my hand for Prabhupada. Oh, it's so wonderful. But then he's going down the line, and there's some steps in front of the building there. So I said, let me have another darshan of Prabhupada as he comes on the way to his quarters. I stood up on this step just to have a darshan, just to drink Prabhupada into my heart through my eyes. And Prabhupada looked at me. He saw some devotee who was not in the flower queue. And Prabhupada is wondering, I wonder if you got a flower not yet. So Prabhupada held up a flower. Did you get one yet? And I held up, yes, Prabhupada, I got my flower. So that was my first experience of Prabhupada's wonderful loving kindness for just I wasn't even initiated. And then I went back to Austin, and after a couple of months later, I got initiated. When I sent him my Guru Dakshina, I told Prabhupada I wanted to spread this movement. He initiated us with a letter from London, so I had to mail the Dakshina back to London. And I told Prabhupada I wanted to spread this movement. He gave him the most wonderful blessing. He said, I can see you're a very sincere, enthusiastic boy, eager to spread this Krishna consciousness movement. He said, now continue enthusiastically as you were doing, and surely Krishna will bless you. Now I'm asking you, is that instruction any less potent now than it was 51 years ago? Is this as potent now? If I have that enthusiasm to make the world Krishna conscious, Prabhupada's guaranteed me Krishna will give me his loving mercy. So I remember I had a question one time for Vishnu John Swami, and he said, well, I don't know, why don't you ask Prabhupada? So I wrote Prabhupada a letter, I got an answer back. So I got in the habit of writing Prabhupada and getting answers back. But then there was a new policy. From now on, because he's getting so many letters, now only GBCs, temple presidents, sannyasis, the rank and file, no more letters to Prabhupada. I was devastated. Oh, I can't write Prabhupada. Oh, I was just devastated. So you know what I did? I cheated. I wrote a letter to Prabhupada. I didn't put my name on the return address. I didn't know what would happen, but I got a wonderful letter from Prabhupada. He said, you remind me of the new policy. But then he said, but if there's any urgent matter, I'm always happy to hear from my beloved disciples. So Prabhupada gave me a concession for the policy. I can write Prabhupada when I had an urgent need. And I did write a few more letters, but then after that, I didn't feel the need anymore. So that was my experience with Prabhupada, how loving, how much merciful he was, how kind he was. So we take that wonderful loving mercy of Prabhupada now, and we have to represent it. It's our duty to represent that mercy of Prabhupada to the suffering souls of this material world. Prabhupada gave us an order in Los Angeles to become guru and deliver the whole world. Well, that's our assignment. You know, wash the pots, offer the arti, and deliver the world. That's our assignment we have. It's sitting all of our heads. It's our duty now to make this whole world Krishna conscious. So, and actually we every morning we sing like that. Do you know them? Bhagir Nasinga, Hriday Nasinga. Prabhupada gave a wonderful translation for these 4 words. May Lord Nrsingadev dwell within my heart, killing all my bad propensities so my mind becomes completely clean and I can bring peace to the entire world. What does peace mean? The United Nations? No, it means Krishna consciousness. So actually you're praying every morning, but here in the Singha, we're praying that now we can make the whole world Krishna conscious. So let's do it. Let's pull off a global spiritual revolution as soon as possible for the glorification of His divine grace. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Prabhu. Next we'll be hearing from Veda Vyas Priya Maharaj.
Get you a chair.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitan Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. For the spiritual master, whether he is in a physical appearance or what we call vapu, or his appearance always in vani, the perception is that we have to simply abide by the orders that have been coming from parampara. I didn't have personal association of Srila Prabhupada, but nonetheless he was very merciful. I had darshan of Srila Prabhupada in 1976 in New York, Rath Yatra, where I was also happened to be in association with so many devotees. Actually, whatever I am today, it is the mercy of all my God brothers and nothing else. But the point is that Srila Prabhupada, whether in Vani or Vapu, he is an absolute representative of of Lord Shri Krishna and his message, and that has to be perceived forever. So what is the use to be so much, having, say, a lot of association, physical association. But Vani is very important because it is forever. Vapu is not forever. And Prabhupada was always telling about that. We have to depend upon Vani throughout our life. And you will never feel that you are away from Srila Prabhupada. All these years of services since, say, 1974, my involvement in ISKCON, in the life membership, and then eventually I got initiated, one of the last in the bench. I never felt that I have ever become an orphan, because Srila Prabhupada left in the next month itself. We were initiated in the month of October 1977, and Srila Prabhupada left in November 1977. There, even though yes, one. Okay. So even though the physical association, and anybody can have advantage